Okay, we're back for another edition of Do-It-Yourself Derby Owners Club Arcade. So I wanted to go ahead and start today with going inside of how to deep clean your units. So the main unit is a large metal case with a specialized filter board. We talked about this in other videos. So it's extremely important you have all these components. Derby is very complex. This is why it's not on main. So if you look at the carts, first thing you want to do is pull your carts off your machines, and you really need to use a vacuum cleaner to do this. So for example, this is a revision D. You take the cartridge top off, place it to the side, and inside you will find two boards. One is a communication link board specified by Lattice. That's the layman's terms. That's a COM board. And then you have to have what's called a ROM board. So I want to give a shout out here to Ken Westerfield. He calls them ROM and COM, and they have to be in the correct order. So once you get it apart, what you do is you'll find some dirt in here. I recommend you do this once a year. So it takes about a day to clean this stuff, maybe 4 to 8 hours. Just be prepared. So, and we only use hand tools. We do not use power tools on the Derby Owners Club. The reason is that the Japanese screws and different pieces are really sensitive to power tools, and they tend to break the threads inside of a, like a cap or a domed Phillips head screw. So just be warned, hand tools are best for cleaning. Alright, so then you clean it on both sides and inside of here. Be careful, get you a light, maybe a magnifying glass, make sure that you don't bend any pins, okay? Or if you're troubleshooting, you can also find bent pins pretty quick. So there's two sides, and this is what you do. You vacuum each side, and then you put it back together like so. So here's the COM board, right? What you have to do, put it back. Okay. The game board is now attached. Right? Now you need the COM board. That's how it works right there. You put it on, and screws go here and here. Done. Okay, so that's how to clean a cart. Now, the cartridge, once it's cleaned, what you want to do is then you need to unplug everything from the main unit. Now, this is a much more extensive job than that. You're probably going to need two types of screwdrivers. I've got a screwdriver palette here. Let's see. I've got one specifically for Segas. I'm using a Craftsman. What is this? I don't even think it's labeled. Yeah, it's model number or part number 41294. I don't know if you can see that. So it's a very. Just thought I'd leave that in there too. See that? Made in the USA, baby. All right, so you take this and you need both size screwdrivers. This is smaller. It works on the units themselves. And what happens is you need a bigger screwdriver to pull the top off on these screws, right? Right there. And right here. It's four of the, usually two or four of those. Then you have in this area right here. This has been removed. You have to pull these off on both sides. And then what happens is this metal sled will move, and it detaches itself from the filter board, okay, in the back. So that allows you to get at the boards, and then you'll figure it out as you go along. But just remember, take a lot of pictures because there are several pieces. I think I actually have a bag over here. Let's see on the workbench. Yeah, that's pretty much all the pieces you'll end up taking apart. All right, so now the next step is you want to get into the machine and take it off. So, interesting point, ROM board, like we mentioned before. This is the ROM board, right? Top board. Don't lose your plastic feet. You're going to need them to put it back together. And it spaces the boards because these boards are very large. Then you have the COM board, Lattice, right? Same thing as the cartridge for the satellites. Now, what's different is that then you have an intermediate board, okay? Now, this intermediate board, one of the main things I've found, people are like, oh, my Derby game's broken, my Derby game's broken. No, it's not. What happens is we find out that this fan, and what happens is that the fan may be stopped, okay? And so I end up going ahead and taking these service calls, talking with people, and saying, oh, okay, can you check the fan? So maybe this fan will sometimes move out of its slot and get to the side. Make sure that runs. The symptom is that the board looks to be dead with power, but it's really not. Once you get a load going on this, the whole board lights up, so it's kind of cool. All right, so there's your intermediate board. We're using ROM version G, okay? Kind of important. May not be immediately, but it will be long term. Take that off. Oh, there's another board. Now this is a keyboard. This is the game board, right? This is the one that when they first started repairing this, you had to give them the serial number off your board just to get it serviced. It's crazy. So as you can tell, it's a lot of work. These things are almost impossible to come by these days, but I happen to have a full supply of them, so let me know if you do need them. And moving on, we have another intermediate board that's the exact same style board as before that plugs into the bottom of the game board. So the bottom of the game board is up, all right? So let's move that out. All right, and then we have one last ROM board on the bottom, okay? Now, it has spacers. Don't lose them because you need to keep it from grounding out on the metal plate. Yes, it will ground out on the metal plate. It'll give you a node ID error. And needless to say, I know that from experience because I popped one time. So this is how you take apart the Derby Owners Club and clean it. When you take apart the satellite, let's see if I've got one of those. Let's see, where would that be? Here we go. Here's a satellite board. So this is kind of indicative of the problem I'm talking about, is that you'll see how the fan, I removed the casing because it had become defective. So what I've done is I pulled it out, and you can put it in the heat sink here on top of it and just push it in, and it's going to vent right on top just like that. Works every time. Anyway, kind of a tip on troubleshooting there. So that does it, and I hope you enjoyed this version of the Derby Owners Club self-repair.